There's the shotgun snap to Fields. He's back. Fields looking. Fields pressured. Fields hit from behind. He's going down. No, he stayed up. Fields, no, he's going down. Get him down. Get him down. Sacked.
Welcome to the Twentyman in the Huddle podcast. I am Tim Twentyman. He is PJ Clark. This is presented by Microsoft. And Peach, we're here a day after the Lions' 31-18 victory over the New York Giants. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to shoot forward and preview
short week
Buffalo a little bit. It's that short week. It's that Thanksgiving. Lions fans, this team, this organization is used to that. But boy, Thursday got a little more fun.
Definitely got a little more exciting.
With
three
the
straight wins.
3 straight wins, 2 on the road. What is it? First 3-game win streaks in 2017.
Yep.
And the way they did it was impressive. They went on the road, and I thought they dominated pretty much all 3 phases of the game against the Giants. And look, that was a 7-2 football team. I know that was, a team that had won some close games, and people wondered how good they really were. But they were 7-2. You are what your record is. Dan Campbell says it all the time, right? And so that was a 7-2 football team, and you went on the road into their house and you beat them. And I thought that was impressive.
I think the Lions even kind of out the Giants yesterday. The Giants have won these close games, not playing disciplined football, not a lot of penalties, and that's what you saw from the Lions yesterday. And the Giants took a lot of penalties, especially early in the first half, that extended some Lions drives, got points off of it, and that's really where I think it went wrong for New York, and then the Lions took advantage.
Well, and they executed the game plan, right? And they Dan Campbell, these players talked all week about we have to stop Saquon Barkley, who entered that game 931 yards, was leading the league in rushing, 1,128 total purpose yards. I think that was second. And so, look, the week prior in the win over the Texans, he carried the ball 35 times. So you knew that was going through Saquon. And I thought right off the get-go with Alim McNeill stuffing him in the middle on the first play of the game, I think that just set a tone. And 15 carries for 22 yards for Saquon Barkley. His longest run, Peach, 4 yards in that game.
That's exactly how you drew it up. And I know that Dan Campbell made a point early in the week when talking about the Giants that he was, and you mentioned it even with Bugs on the podcast, that he was like a 2-yard, and then he gets the 60-yarder, and you had to be aware on every play, and he never even got to the second level. The defensive line just stopped him in his tracks every time.
No, and this is what Dan Campbell had to say about, his defense job stopping Saquon Barkley on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much speaks for itself. We knew he was the key. We could not let him get going, and we did that. I mean, you just said it. I don't know what that average is, 1.4 or something. But, I mean, that was huge because everything did run through him. And so that was the main focus of our defense this week, and they performed it perfectly. And then the takeaways, something else we preached. And coming out of halftime, we talked about we needed takeaways, and we continued to get them. So that's, there's no secret. You eliminate the mistakes or reduce your own mentals, and you get takeaways on the other side. Hold on to the football, and good things usually can happen for you.
And you look, Dan's right? They followed the game plan to a T. They stepped up. They did their job. And then you flip to the other side of the ball, Peach, and it's been the Aidan, Hutchinson, and Kerby Joseph show here over this stretch.
Rookies again, and you can throw Alim McNeill, as you mentioned, in there. The young guys, again, we've talked about it so much with even Malcolm and Josh Paschal when he's been in. But the young guys, the Brad Holmes draft picks are starting to elevate this whole thing up to another level. Yeah, you look at Aidan Hutchinson with the great interception. What a great play call by Aaron Glenn there, dropping him in coverage. It was a zone blitz scheme there on that play, and Daniel Jones never saw him. And Aidan goes up, shows his athleticism. I wish he would have converted that little spin move on the side there, stayed in bounds. That would have been pretty good to return that for a pick six. But nonetheless, the second pick for him. He's now, I think, the second player in NFL history to have at least 5 sacks and 2 interceptions in his first 10 games. We're talking about impact, right? 5.5 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 31 tackles, 10 quarterback hits, a fumble recovery, the 2 interceptions. I mean, those are impact plays.
games. And then Kerby Joseph playing center field, getting another pick with a nice return too. And so look, during this stretch, and Aaron Glenn and the players and Dan talked about, we got to get some takeaways, right? We've got to generate some of those big plays on defense. Over this 3-game stretch, they've had 7 takeaways now, and 6 of those are from Hutchinson and Joseph.
Yeah, and the one that wasn't was Aidan Hutchinson dropping back in coverage last week against Chicago and Okudah making the play. So that's now 3 straight weeks. Obviously, your rookie edge rusher, you want him to get after the quarterback, but 3 straight weeks with Aidan Hutchinson dropping back in coverage and making a big play to change the game for the Lions.
It's huge.
I mean,
it shows his versatility. It shows his athleticism. It shows more than
awareness.
Him being more than just a guy on edge, see ball, see quarterback, get quarterback. Like, there's much more to his game than that. You can play him in space. You can do some things on the edge. This league is trending toward athletic quarterbacks that can get out wide. I think having one of those ends that can play in space and do some things, I think that's only going to help you in the future. And so, look, kudos to him. Kudos to Alim McNeill, who you mentioned, Kerby Joseph. There are a lot of good performances in that game. Bugs was another one, just steady. Him and Alim do that dirty work, right?
Yeah,
in the middle.
just right in the middle.
And it doesn't show up on the stat box in the stat sheet after the game a lot, but it was nice to see it, 3 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, a sack for Alim. Really set the tone early. 10 pressures, which is pretty amazing.
Up the middle? I mean, that's crazy.
I think PFF had him at 7 hurries.
Yeah.
And I think the next 2 were Kaminsky and Hutchinson with 3 apiece. So, I mean, just think about that. And that's your 3-tech nose, 3-tech and nose tackle, a guy who can play both, but your big guy in the center. When he gets that kind of pressure, when he's in the backfield that much, that's good things are going to happen for your defense.
And that was something that was harped on a lot going into the game, was how is Dexter Lawrence going to affect the Lions up the middle with that A-gap pressure, and Alim McNeill was the one who ended up being the guy that really wrecked the game plan up the middle. After all that talk of Dexter Lawrence, Alim McNeill figured it out on the other side.
And we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Jamaal Williams a little bit too.
No, definitely
all
have to.
Jamaal Williams does is score touchdowns.
There are worse things to do.
I asked Jared after the game about him. He said, "Look, that guy's about as automatic as it comes in terms of goal-to-go situation, getting you a rushing touchdown. He had 3 of them from 4 yards, 1 yard, 1 yard. That gives him 12 on the year." Peach, if I would have told you, back in September, I would have asked you, so Thanksgiving, Jamaal Williams is going to lead the NFL with 12 touchdowns, and he was going to be on his way to being a 1,000-yard running back and our number 1 back. What would you have said?
I would have looked at you like you had 2 heads a little bit there. Yeah, but here we are.
Here we are. And look, good on him. Right? I mean, he's been a team leader. He's been a vocal leader for this team. DeAndre Swift has suffered some injuries. He's had to battle through it. And look, the best ability in this league is availability, and that's what Jamaal has been. He's been steady. He's been durable. He's been consistent, and he's been the catalyst behind this run game, which is a top 10 run game in the NFL. And look, kudos to him. All he does is run hard, make plays, and score touchdowns. And if I'm a head coach, I like guys like that.
Yeah, and he made the point after the game as well that this is, it's a group effort, and the offensive line again played pretty well yesterday and paved the way for this rushing attack all
160
year.
yards total.
And 12 rushing touchdowns for Jamaal this year, and another one for Swift yesterday. Like, the offensive line has been dominant in the run game, and they pushed around a really good Giants defensive front yesterday en route to 4 rushing touchdowns.
So, I mean, look, you love the young defenders continuing to make plays. You like Jamaal getting in there and now leading the league. You mentioned the offensive line, the run game. Jared Goff didn't turn the football over, was consistent, made some really good throws on some third down situations to keep drives alive. Special teams was steady.
Justin Jackson, I thought, looked really,
number
really
2.
good too.
Yeah, is he kind of trending toward that?
Trending
I think it's still Swift at number 2, but I mean, you could see yesterday they were pretty confident in Justin Jackson and giving him the football. He was on a roll a little bit.
Led the team
9
rushing.
carries, 66 yards, 7.3 average. Had that long of 27 yards. Look good, and I think that's good. Now you've got 3 backs that I think you're pretty confident in. You hope Swift, moves beyond some of the injuries that he's dealing with. I think when I watch him run, even at practice, you can tell there's still a little hiccup in his giddy up there, just with the ankle. I think he's still dealing with it. He doesn't look like the same player. And look, he's still out there. He's trying to battle through it, give you something.
That's the advantage that depth gives you, though. If you have a guy like Justin Jackson, you don't have to push him if you don't have to.
No, exactly. And Justin Jackson has shown that he can, handle some more of the load too. So look, with the offensive line that you talked about, with the depth they got at running back, the defense is stepping up and making plays. It's just kind of fun right now, right?
It's
3 in a row.
All coming together.
What have we talked about the whole time, right? What was the goal when we started doing this podcast really early, and then they got on that bad stretch where they lost, 5 straight or whatever it was? You were like, okay, can they put some stuff together and be in the graphic? Can they be on the graphic, in the hunt, on the graphic
December
at the
football.
end of November? And look, they are.
Yeah.
They are. Look, the NFC is not as strong as it's been in years past. And what are they, 2 games out of the playoff spot right now? But you got a pretty good football team coming to town here.
Yeah,
and so
really
now if you win on Thursday and you beat the Buffalo Bills,
that's a statement game.
That's a statement game. I agree
Much
with
like
you
the
100%.
Giants once.
And that's
think,
when
too.
I think, you like being in the graphic right now, but I think you start talking the P word if you can beat Buffalo on Thursday. And so, look, this is a kind of a combined podcast here. So, look, we took a step back. We analyzed that game a little bit. But now let's look forward to Thursday's game.
It's a big one.
It's a big one. And what do we do every week? We do the key matchups presented by BetMGM. And let's get right into it, Peach. Let's start right away with, Stephon Diggs versus Jerry Jacobs, because I think that's going to be a big one, especially now that Jeff Okudah is in concussion protocol. It's a quick turnaround from Sunday to Thursday. We talked to Dan Campbell after the game. It doesn't sound like he's going to be able to get out of protocol in time to play Thursday. And that means you've got Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, Knox, McKenzie, the third,
got a lot of options out there.
The number 3 ranked passing offense in the league coming to town, and you're without your best cornerback. Not ideal.
Not ideal. But you have Jerry Jacobs, who has stepped in and played well off of his injury. Had a big breakup yesterday against the Giants on 3rd down, and has been a very physical man corner, and I think that's what you're going to need against Diggs, especially at kind of a size disadvantage there. Diggs is a physical receiver. Jerry's got to be physical back, and that is his game, and that's how I think the Lions are going to have to skirt by this. And I think Kerby, another step for him against Josh Allen, playing a little center field, giving some help to the Diggs side. I think you might see more of that on Thursday.
Josh will give you some opportunities.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think they have 18 turnovers on the year. I think they rank 30th in the NFL. He's got 10 interceptions.
He's up there in turnover-worthy plays too.
So he'll give you some opportunities. There might be some there, but when you talk about Diggs, 104 targets, 76 catches, 1,033 yards already, and 8 touchdowns in 10 games. This is as a dynamic a pass attack as Detroit's faced all year. And so, you're going to be down your corner. So other guys got to step up, right? We talk about Jerry Jacobs. He's in the graphic here, but Amani Oruwariye, Mike Hughes, Will Harris, I think all those guys are going to have to step up and play their best football games.
Because it's not only Diggs, too. Like you mentioned, it's McKenzie, it's Gabe Davis. They have a plethora. There's the word. James Cook out of the backfield. Yeah. I mean, they got guys, Nyheim Hines. Like, they have plenty of weapons here that are all pass catchers that need to be covered somewhere. So this is now, without your number 1 corner, everybody's got to step up a little bit. And like you said, Josh Allen is going to give you some opportunities. So again, much like yesterday, you got to capitalize on them when they come up.
Well, that segues right into the next one. Let's talk about Josh Allen. And for this one, I put Jared Goff, because I think this is a good battle between 2 quarterbacks, 2 veteran guys, indoors. Weather's not going to be a factor. 2 really good offenses. If you look at the stat rankings that I tweeted out on Monday, I mean, you look at these offenses just across the board, top 10 in lots of categories. And so, to me, you look at Allen, 64 percent completion percentage, 2,930 yards, 20 touchdowns. We talked about the 10 interceptions, but also a guy who can get it done with his legs too, right? Yeah. He leads that team in rushing with 483 yards. He's got 4 touchdowns to go with that too. So he's just one of those guys that kind of does it all. And Peace, do you think the fact that they played Justin Fields and they played Daniel Jones in back-to-back weeks, they're kind of in that a guy can beat us with his legs mode? Does that help them, you think?
I think it helps at least a little bit. And you did a decent job on Jones in the second half. The first half, he got you for a couple. He rushed for a touchdown. But then in the second half, when they needed to throw the ball more, he wasn't running as much, and you kind of held down the fort that way. But this is another, I know we're going to talk about Aidan in a couple minutes, but you got to set the edge. You got to set contain. Don't let Josh Allen beat you with his legs. But the problem is, unlike Daniel Jones and Justin Fields, he's a better thrower than those guys, so he's going to beat you either way.
But and I put Jared in here too because I think they're gonna have to make some plays in the pass game, And look, Jameson Williams returned to practice this week. We'll see. It's probably something more down the line, but it was a good little news breaker on a Monday late morning. It gives you a little something to write about, a little boost. Obviously gives the Bills something to think about as well and prepare for. So, but look, this is a Lions team that's got 38 completions of 20-plus yards. And so, look, they can throw the ball a little bit too, and they rank in the top 10 in passing offense in the league. And so, to me, it's just, which of these two quarterbacks is going to make the fewest mistakes and which of them is going to be able to find a big play, a big momentum play in the pass game that can maybe separate their team. I think those are two key statistics in this one.
And I think, like you said, I think it's just take care of the ball, especially on the Lions side, is that you don't want to give the Bills offense any more opportunities than they're already going to have. Even with the defense playing well, those weapons, Josh Allen, keep the ball away from them unless you have to give it back. If you kick off after a score, great, but don't give them extra possessions unless you have to.
But something I like too is Jared's confidence too.
Yeah, because he's feeling it right now.
I talked to him after the game and I asked him about the job they did against the Giants defense. They were ranked number 2 in the NFL in red zone. They were 4 for 5, and he looked at me and said, "Yeah, well, we're pretty good red zone offense too. We were 5th. Yeah. We heard it all week about how good they were. Well, we want to show how good we were. And there's a little bit of swag with Jared right now. And I think, he feels that this is an offense that maybe isn't getting their just due. And I think he's probably thinking, they better take care of the football. Because if you give us extra chances, we're going to go score too. 5 games of 30-plus points this year. I mean, they could score points and they're going to be at home. I think this offense and Jared's playing with a lot of confidence right now.
Yeah, and you in theory, DJ Chark got worked back in the rotation a little bit yesterday.
Reps.
Didn't play a lot, but another 3 days. Yeah. Could that buy him a couple more snaps? That's your deep threat now. That's a bigger bodied receiver instead of Tom Kennedy and Amon-Ra underneath. You get an outside threat.
You've got to pay attention to
him. I think at the very least he's got to be covered, and they have 2 excellent cornerbacks, Buffalo does, but that's another layer for the Lions offense that has been missing.
For sure. So, but if Jared's going to be able to get the ball down the field to a guy like DJ Chark, they're going to have to block Von Miller.
Yes, they are.
And that's the next one for me is Von Miller versus Taylor Decker. And I think that's going to be such a terrific matchup. 2 veteran guys have been doing it for a long, long time. Look, Von Miller went to Buffalo to win a Super Bowl, and he's doing his end of the deal, right? I mean, 8 sacks, 11 quarterback hits.
Worth every cent of that contract.
Every cent, and I look at Taylor Decker on the other side, 1 quarterback pressure in his last 3 games.
He was perfect yesterday.
3 sacks all year long. And so he's playing really, really well. And so, look, Penei Sewell's gotten a lot of love, and deservedly so. And I think sometimes Taylor Decker goes maybe under the radar a little bit. But I think he's consistently one of the top 5 to top 10 left tackles in this league, and he's playing like it this year.
And I think even, Von is a guy you could get really creative with. You can throw him on stunts, have him come inside off the edge, and that's when you have Decker and a Pro Bowl guard in Jonah Jackson. I think those 2 are solidified and have been playing well enough. And Decker, no pressures yesterday, no quarterback hits yesterday, like you mentioned. That is the matchup protecting that blind side, because Von Miller is going to try to wreak whatever havoc possible. And they have Greg Rousseau, they have Carlos Basham, they have Ed Oliver, they have other guys on the defensive line that are going to be on the other side. But Von Miller is the key that you have to focus on. And I think Taylor Decker this is the form you want him coming into this game with.
100%. He's got to be playing with a ton of confidence right now, too. And with Vaughn, too, it's not just getting the sacks. He's so great at getting the football, too, knocking it out, getting his hand on the football, strip sacks, those type of things. You see over the years so many huge, big plays in games with him and, affecting the football, affecting the quarterback. And so, look, that's going to be a terrific matchup in this one. Taylor Decker's got to be good against Von Miller if this pass game's going to get going. If Jarrett is going to have time to, push the ball down the field vertically, which I think we both agree is something they're going to have to probably do in this game a little bit more than they have.
It adds another layer. And Amon-Ra and Khalif Raymond and Tom Kennedy, especially like the one Tom Kennedy took on the slant against Chicago, like those can be schemed open with yards after the catch, and the Lions have done a good job of that. But there's something different that DJ Chark can do going down the field like that if there's time to do it, I'd like to see it broken out on Thursday.
100%. And let's get to our next matchup. To me, and I wanted to put this one in there because he's coming off such a great game. Is Alim McNeill? Can he stack another performance like that on top and against Mitch Moore? Terrific center for them. A guy who's Mitch Morse, excuse me. 1 sack, 2 hits all year long.
Yep.
I mean, he has been really steady for that Buffalo. He's kind of that guy, like Frank a little bit for Detroit, who kind of just settles everything down in there. Veteran guy who's been doing it at a high level, and he's been really good. But you love what Alim McNeill and the confidence he's got to have coming into this one. The sack, the 3 tackles for losses, the 7 quarterback pressures, the 10 hurries, which you talked about. I mean, just everything about that game. He I know he told Danny Rogers after the game, he was like, I kind of woke up just feeling a little different. Yeah. I was feeling good. Like, I need to show out a little bit. Well, whatever he ate, whatever time he went to bed, whatever he did the day before,
figure it out.
Sunday in New York, figure it out and do it exactly again. So, that's a big one to me, too. Can he generate that same kind of pressure?
I mean, like you said with Taylor Decker and like pretty much the whole team, you're on a 3-game win streak. Everybody is rolling right now. But Alim McNeill has to be feeling, and I think, like you mentioned, his interview with Danny, I think he's really confident in the way he's playing. And that can extend to Kaminsky, like you said, and Buggs, and those guys on the inside. Don't know about Pascal yet, but maybe he comes back too. Between those 4, you're getting pressure right up the middle on Josh Allen, and then you have Aidan to make a play on the edge.
Look at you with the segue.
That's called a segue.
Right into Aidan. Look at that. It's like you had notes or something. Know what was coming. And the last one to me is Aidan Hutchinson and Spencer Brown, right? The right tackle there. And look, they're going to move Aidan around. He's going to play both sides, but I think that's a matchup right there. I think their top tackle, Deion Dawkins, I think we both can agree with that. I think if you're going to get some opportunities, it's probably going to be against Spencer. And so, look, when I look at Hutch, he's a Rookie of the Year contender to me. I think Sauce Gardner, is the clear number 1 in terms of, the Rookie of the Year, but Hutchinson's the number 2 in my eyes.
It's a big opportunity, national TV audience, and take advantage against a good team.
31 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 10 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions, a fumble. We talked about it earlier, but it's just impact. And so can he do that again on a national stage against an offense like this, against a quarterback like this? Boy, I think that could sway a lot of people if Aidan Hutchinson goes and has a couple sacks, a big turnover, something like that. I think the national eyes can go, okay, Detroit's maybe got something here in this kid.
And it's Spencer Brown, too, who is another young guy. I know you and Mike have talked about that with Braxton Jones in Chicago, rookie on rookie. Spencer Brown, second-year tackle from Northern Iowa, kind of a developmental project that has started now a lot of games for the Bills, but is not your premier tackle, not like either of the 2 guys the Lions have, not like Andrew Thomas.
Oh, Andrew Thomas, yeah.
Yeah, that you faced last week. You have an opportunity here, if you're Aidan Hutchinson, to put yourself even further on the map against another young guy that doesn't have exactly the big book on pass rush moves like some of these veteran tackles.
16 hurries for him allowed. So, I mean, there's been some opportunities for guys that are lined up across him to make some plays. So, I think it'll be big. Can Aidan get that strip sack? Can he get that, tip
we
ball?
haven't seen the strip sack yet.
That big turnover that just, can make the difference in what we hope is a close game and potentially a 4th straight victory for the Lions.
That would be something.
This one would really be something.
Yeah.
Because this is certainly a very good football team. They've got Super Bowl aspirations. They're the favorites to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC. So, look, it's a short week. Injuries could play a factor. You never know what's going to go on. We'll both be at Ford Field.
We'll be there.
We'll break it down afterward. Hopefully, we're talking about 4 in a row. That would certainly be something going into a mini bye and having a couple more home games on the slate and being very much in the graphic after that. So
absolutely.
He is PJ Clark. I'm Tim Twentyman. We will be coming from you from Ford Field Thursday night for another 20 Minute Huddle podcast.